morning. Had to start that way, Raz. Welcome back to the LCS and the LCS waiting room. I've returned!
Welcome back!
And I'm happy to be back for another playoff series. Wow, an ovation for this one.
I'm gonna throw this at your head.
I know you're not used to them.
No, definitely not. So I appreciate what I can get. Let's talk about playoffs and how it's all broken down. Obviously, I was out yesterday, but a quick glimpse at the scoreline shows complete dominance out of Cloud9 as they take the victory over the Golden Guardians yesterday in 3-0 fashion. They're going to move on to play the winner of the matchup that we have today in Evil Geniuses versus FlyQuest. Still awaiting that upper bracket matchup, though, between Team Liquid and 100 Thieves as well, which comes next week.
We're gonna have good ones out here, like Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves. That one's gonna be sick. That was the finals rematch. Of course, new players across the board for Team Liquid there, but that when those two teams go off against each other, you always have good games, except for the final. That one is.
That's why they got new players.
That's true.
Oh,
no pressure, Whippo.
Well, as we work our way through the bracket, it also means that we will, time and time again, be saying goodbye to teams as they exit the playoff postseason. So, Raz, my friend, I'm going to hand things over to you. Well, they waited. They happened.
They showed up very briefly.
Raz, I'm going to hand it over to you to eulogize and pour one out for our good friends over there.
Of course.
Golden Guardians.
Of course. When I think about this team, what do you think about? First of all, the fact that the golden colors, black and gold, so I'm just going to be using this one, tropical, because guess where they're going?
On vacation.
Cancun.
To some tropical place.
Exactly.
Amen to that.
So, this is for you guys out there. Blaze Olive, Lost, Ole, to say all your names. It was a tough series, so me saying your names probably just as fast as that 3-0.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh, God.
You said, what about Pride Stalker?
Ooh.
Say goodbye to all we had. I'm taking this with me.
Okay. You poured out half of it.
that wasn't
taking the rest with it.
That wasn't the worst singing.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Raz has got a voice.
Karaoke. Yeah, he's not bad.
Raz totally has
I
a
love
voice.
karaoke. You just
Loved that eulogy. Thought you were
gave up on the
being BM though when you said a Blaze Olive. Lost.
There was
I thought you were just being a jerk and telling him that he lost the series, and then I was like, oh wait, yeah, okay, now he's just listing that.
There was a pause where I was like, did he just forget what other players are on Golden Guardian?
I thought he would, because he said, oh, my name of all, but then he didn't say licorice or a Pride Stalker. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I realized going down the names was not an effective strategy. The last time we had that conversation, I was like, all right, I'm just going to actually have to say
No.
what I last remember them.
Earlier today during read-through, I think I said after Mark had a commentary that I don't want you to ever do my eulogy. I'm going to follow that up after that performance with Raz.
Oh, no,
Sorry,
it's down
I
to
don't really
me.
want you to do my eulogy either.
Look,
so, Emily, that means that
if you need a stinger for you,
Precious,
if you need a
man,
stinger,
come on.
you can be the singer.
I got you
You
on
need
that
the
one.
choir.
Yeah.
People are entering and exiting just kind of like, with a light acoustic guitar, something like
Perfect.
that, or a piano.
I'm not going to be.
into it.
That one's going to be awful. So,
All right.
so good
All
luck
right,
with that.
let's get into some community conversation here. Lord Danny wanted to say welcome back to the LCS fans. It was nice to see you guys for the first time. I mean, absolutely. It's been amazing to have the fans here on site. It's been amazing to be able to go out and kind of feel that energy, but even through the screen, right? Because for those of you who aren't totally aware, us in the Analyst Desk studio, we are actually separated out from the main arena. But being able to witness and watch the games still with that echo of the fans behind and kind of that rise and fall, it just makes it so much more enjoyable to watch.
It's amazing because, like, even when you hear the mic checks for some of the players, just like the fans in the background, the players that actually have to raise their volume a little bit more so they can hear each other, and like also hearing from the players after these games where it's like, yeah, we have to calm each other down.
Yeah.
Just some of the things you have to go through with fans in the arena.
Right, well, as great as it is, right, for us as spectators to have fans back around, we obviously know for players it means something a little different. Before we came into playoff, a number of our newer players shared their thoughts on what having fans in the audience would mean to them. Let's listen in.
I think I'd feel very good to be playing in front of a crowd. It would be a very new experience for me, and I really like new experiences. It might be scary at first, but after like maybe a day or two, it'll feel very, very natural.
I never played on stage with fans before, so I mean it'll be pretty cool. I want the fans to come and see, so I think I like it a lot.
I mean, obviously, if I want to hear the fans, I want them to cheer for us, obviously, because I never had that experience, I think, fans cheering for us or anything. So, I don't know, it will be cool to hear them.
Few of the players taken to the stage today. Of course, the EG members have now played on stage in that loss. So I kind of wonder how they'll rebound from that, because they've also felt the other side of having fans. There are the fans who are there to support you, and then there are the fans who are there to support your opponents. And I think both kind of pull at something different inside of you.
I mean, you saw Danny's tweet, like Danny himself in there. I think JoJo and Danny both performed really well in front of fans. Like I don't think it fazed them, and it also seemed to help them.
I was going to say the same thing for Danny. He looked great. He had an insane team fight, a couple of them. He was one of the big reasons that this series was even close against Team Liquid, where a lot of people were expecting a 3-0. His performance in the mid and late games has always been good, and I think some people get hyped up when fans juice them up, and Danny's always been, it feels like a big-time player. Even in that playoffs last year, when he got that insane pentakill, it feels like he responds well to pressure.
And if I were to take anything from the mic checks, it's probably hyping them up too much. I remember in the first game, that they ended up getting the win versus Team Liquid in that series. JoJo's first question as they were about to end is like, can I rise Realm Warp into the next fountain, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no. Wait till game 5. Vulcan said, wait till game 5 for that to happen. But no, I think they feed off that energy.
Right,
which
absolutely.
Is great to see.
You don't want to be celebrating early.
Not early.
That's what that keys
exactly
into right there. But with fans, you definitely want to kind of showboat a little bit more when you have the space to do so, a little bit of extra flair. We're going to be using the Telestrator a lot today, which I'm super excited about. Emily, you're the first one at it. No surprise to anybody that it's once again an EG-focused State Farm neighborhood tactics.
Let's talk about set plays and minion waves, my two favorite things. So first of all, we're going to start with everyone's least favorite duo of Renekton and Nidalee. There's been a lot of talk about how bad these two are. What I'm not going to say is that they're bad, but what I am going to say is that you have to have very specific set plays that you are looking at to make most of your early advantages, because otherwise, if you're not using that Renekton stun into Nidalee setup to dive the top wave, especially on third wave where you're setting up the cannon minion, you are going to end up falling behind, and TL's comp in this case is going to outscale you. So what I'm going to be looking at here is actually JoJo pushing out the mid wave here. Nidalee can look for a play up here. And Renekton is obviously pushing in against this. So a few things are going to happen here. First of all, they are going to ping out the play first and then call it off for whatever reason. So here's where the ping goes out. You can see it up top there. And for whatever reason, they do not end up going for it. Another really cool thing that happens here that I don't think necessarily affected why they went for this play or not, because it looked like they called it off initially, is that Bwipo took minion dematerializer. So right here, as this blue cannon creep is coming in, whoop, I don't know if you saw it, it disappears, right? Because he actually vacuums it out of there. I thought that was a really cool adaptation to knowing that they are going to go for topside dives here, right? So they already initially looked like they'd kind of called off the play because they had pinged it out, and nothing happened after that. But I wanted to point that out as something that EG really needed to get ahead. They kind of had the setup for it, and they didn't take advantage of it. Now I'm gonna flip side to a really good EG play. I actually think this is the best Baron setup I've seen from any LCS team all year. So what we're gonna see here is that this wave has already been pushed out to set up and push on bot side. JoJo is actually gonna be catching a wave that pushes in here. And what happens when you want to set up a good Baron play is that you want to make it so that the team is always responding to you, and they have to make a decision that costs them somewhere on the map. So in this case, it's setting up your side waves so that they're going to be crashing at the exact same time, pushing on those inhibitor turrets. And additionally, if you don't catch them, they could crash into your inhibitor turrets and take them. They could also just cost you golden experience, right? So as soon as JoJo pushes out that wave, he's rotating out. They're gonna, catch TL here. And TL have to come into them and make a play. Because as these waves are stacking on the sides, TL is just gonna keep going, and EG are just gonna keep baiting Baron. They push them out here once, right? So they're chunked out. They have to be forced in again because the camera's gonna point down. We have a minion wave crashing in top or prepping to crash in top, and then we have another minion wave building here. So again, EG set this up perfectly where they can just keep baiting the Baron, and TL have to respond. Again, they're gonna come in here, and this fight does not go well for them. They get poked out. Inspired, even with this Victor zoning here, is able to come in and set it up. So afterwards, EG are just gonna be able to take this Baron. And I wanted to point out both of these plays as like one where EG kind of should have set up a play to make the most of their composition, and another where they honestly had like what I think, I don't know what you guys think, but it was the best and like cleanest Baron setup I've seen in a really long time from an LCS team.
I thought that looked really good. If you can get both opposite side waves going and still have control of your Baron, you obviously did something very well. So that was cool to point out.
Yeah, and through multiple segments we have all season long, we've showcased the fact that this team sets up plays early on. Of course, the one example that you showcased was interesting that they weren't able to do that, but a lot of the times they are pretty active in how they play around the first 14 minutes of the game. And when a plan doesn't go to play, like when he's on Rise and jojopyun doesn't necessarily see something, they're still actively looking for the next play. And that's what makes Evil Geniuses, for me, at least when we see them during the regular season, just the most active early game team. So I would love to see more of that. What makes their first 14 minutes great in comparison to what you showed, what didn't pan out necessarily during their series in Team Liquid.
Now, it's these stats right here, Raz, that you're presenting, coupled with some of that mid to late game set plays that Emily's kind of walked through, especially considering that they put those things up against Team Liquid, that makes me fear for FlyQuest's chances in this series.
Exactly. Hey, the funny thing is, the stat that we're not showing you, which is champion kills per minute, which is like a game-long stat.
Right.
Evil Geniuses is actually incredibly low. So their early game is really is quick-paced. They look for plays, they find them, but when they have those advantages, they are actively slowing the pace of the game down. And so it comes back to that Baron play that you were talking about, where hey, they want to find something that is transferable from game to game to game. Set plays that hey, if they have control around Dragon or Baron, they're gonna force you to come into them rather than chasing you down. That's the type of Evil Geniuses that I'm looking for today. It's FlyQuest that need to combat that.
Vulcan coming in with a little bit of swagger before the rest of FlyQuest files into the arena, getting set to do battle in a best of 5. I do have a lot of curiosities about how these teams match up, especially considering everything we've heard from players themselves talk about EG. Remember, a lot of people pointed at that TL-EG matchup going like, that's closer than you think it is. As a 1 versus 4 seed, it played out closer than I think a number of people expected.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's why they should be a feared team in this lower bracket on the side of EG. But we also haven't seen a ton out of FlyQuest recently, right? And so a lot of our questions around them are, what have they been doing since regular season to now? What investment have they made into analyzing what EG has shown so far in the playoffs, and how will they come prepared to the stage today?
Exactly. They came out the gate running. They were the first team that were on point in how they wanted to play as a team. They ran into a lot of hiccups, especially in their final game, the tiebreaker versus Evil Geniuses, where they fell flat. So they need to learn from that.
We talk about preparation. There's a couple ways in which that shows. Obviously, first and foremost will be the draft, but Mark, level 1s have become more and more prevalent and impactful, it seems, here in the postseason.
Hit me with that.
That was terrible
Oh,
there.
nice.
Clean.
Well done.
I'm gonna throw
And
something
a
else at you.
And a left hand, one-handed catch.
You've been beating me up
Clean.
all morning. You keep doing that. No, so on the point about prep, FlyQuest, who hasn't played yet, so far in playoffs, we've actually seen that it's been extremely important how people are playing level 1s, because some games are getting decided at level 1, it feels like. And for FlyQuest, if you've been playing the regular season, people might not have been going that hard. We're going to take a look at a couple from last week. This is the Nautilus Blitz mid. It's been going on forever, and some teams have struggled on how to adapt to it. What some teams do is they just sack mid, and you cannot do that because people are going to spill over to the next point and have the inside track, and you can't just double up here and then sack mid because you won't see it coming. And so this is exactly what C9 do. They kind of just abandon mid lane. Blabber's going to lose his flash, end up dying for it. FlyQuest, please find a different way to deal with this. We'll see in one of the later clips how EG looks to do it, but this is what happens if you don't protect your mid lane at all and still put someone on that point alone. So he gets absolutely screwed over here for Blabber, and then the game's just a total snowball. EG, here's one of the ways that they try and deal with the Nautilus Blitz mid. Even though it doesn't happen, they overload this one point where you usually spill over to. This will be the best track for Nautilus. If you blitz mid and then try and bounce over here, that's where you almost always go. EG wards up, stacks up here, but then they leave the cannon down here to find another point. just to put a ward there to see, okay, well, if they weren't at our stack, we still want information somewhere. So that doesn't end up happening. There's no Nautilus splits mid. Instead, TL just kind of like run over and then do a late invade. But because they had that ward, EG from their stack can actually go into that brush. And then they camp there for a period of time, waiting for TL to back out. This is one of the times that they get first blood. And so teams are being very intelligent now in the level 1s. This is just a free kill because they stacked for the Nautilus blitz mid, but they covered another option. And you do this kind of option select where you can still react.
Every time that one makes me recoil like I'm watching a
You're
car
like,
crash.
"Yeah."
I'm watching a car crash.
No, he ends up blowing up. And EG, I think, knew they were underdogs against TL. And this is, I think, something that a lot of teams need to do is when you think that this other team might be have an advantage against us in a full best of 5, find ways to win games from level 1. And here it is again. TL are now doing their own brush camp against this potential invade, but they have 4 range on the side of EG. And so even though Leona gives her body up, Vulcan kills himself, you still win the fight from here with just how much damage you have and how much range you have. So after they kill him, they can just chase down Team Liquid. They force a ton of flashes, and they end up winning this game basically off of this just because their whole comp is built around early game tempo. So this is something I think FlyQuest need to be aware of moving in to EG. Crazy level 1s, but also they should look for their own. Don't just go point defense. Try and actually get an advantage as soon as you get into the game.
What I love about this the most, it kind of reminds me of the last playoff series. This was a while back, but like that was when Santorin was on FlyQuest. And FlyQuest success when they went up against Cloud9 in that series is based off heavy level 1s. That's what I love about playoffs is because when you know the team you're going up against and that you have to prepare a full best of 5, you can tailor a specific strategy if you're not favored in that matchup or if you just think that they're too heavily focused around their bot lane or their jungler. Create something. So that's what's really fun about Evil Geniuses in this case.
I'm also glad you pointed out that like typically teams that do this are think that they might be the underdogs in a matchup or need to find a way in. What I would really love to do is erase the idea that level 1s are like always cheese. Right?
I hate that so much. I'm with you already.
I'm with the cheese.
I'm on board. I'm on board immediately. No, I am with you. That has been
I agree,
frustration of mine. Yes.
Damn. Okay.
There we go.
I just hate the word cheese. It's a strategy.
Anyway, yeah, it's a good strategy, and I really love when teams like EG come to the table, and even TL said like, you know what? Like, they got us here. We were not prepared for how strong they would be level 1, and they showed us a variety of different looks that are going to make us go back and take a look at our early setups and be like, okay, where are the holes here?
You know who the king, I would say, of level 1s historically has been on FlyQuest's team?
Afro?
Yep. Like, in the CLG days, in those
Yeah.
CLG days, like, in scrims and on stage, it would always be a level 1.
Always cheese it. No,
Always
screw you.
a level 1.
I hate the word cheese, but I do love a cheese
I love
plate.
the word
A little bit of
I love
Gouda,
the word
okay?
cheesing, and I love
Gouda's good
cheese.
cheese.
Everything
Some
about
Swiss.
it.
Yeah.
I'm
Poke holes
so
in their
mad about
strategy
it.
with some Swiss.
It's an effective early game strategy, okay?
Goat.
Screw you. Just because it worked, you're
Goat
going to call it cheese all of a sudden. It's the most infuriating thing ever to reduce strategy down to something so simple. All right, enough out of us. We've got plenty of thoughts, and we'll come back to hear a few more of them on the FlyQuest versus EG matchup. But for now, let's hear from the players themselves.
A lot of the games that we do lose, we kind of lose to ourselves. We either pick bad combination of champions, little miscommunication, don't go in at the same time. It's like normal team things everybody's suffering from, and then you just have to solve it.
I mean, obviously, when we play against FlyQuest, we need to not get too cocky or not too ahead of ourselves, even though I know we should win against them, but we still need to take the game very serious and have a good plan and win.
I do feel good. I do think like we have a lot of talented players. Everybody's really good laning phase wise, especially toucouille always performing on his champions and stuff like that. Josedeodo, So I just think we gotta just pick a style and go with that.
I think it's pretty impressive that aphromoo can be like playing at this level for such a long time, because a lot of the time LCS players will come in and then play a few years and then peace out, and then aphromoo has been here for I don't know, like 10 years now. So it's impressive he's still around, and it feels like you always hear how great of a teammate he is, and you can see in his play that he's like a very smart player. I do think I'm 10 times better than him, but it's impressive that he's still playing well.
Here in playoffs, there's some players that level up as the series goes on. Namely, person that does it a lot, Doublelift does it a lot, so he can play like complete ass, for his second game, and then he'll amp it up the rest of the games. So he does that a lot, and only certain players can do that. So sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. And then other than that, once a team shows like their hand, you know, the first couple of games, and then you ban the one champion that their whole style revolves around, then it just crumbles and you get the, you know, the 0-3 sweep, reverse sweep. Sorry.
I love hearing from all the players ahead of the matchup. Fun to poke fun at.
Double lip
of
catching some
course.
strings there.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Double lip roast, but also kind of hyping him, being
Right, that's the thing.
he might chain feed for a little bit, but then he's going to carry me, and it's sick.
Exactly.
I also like to call out on how much sometimes a single strategy hinges on 1 or 2 picks, and you
Yes.
get rid of that, and the team just falls apart, and they don't have a plan B that actually works.
Where those reverse
Really
sweeps come
insult.
from, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But
Catching
that's
strays too. What the heck?
oh my goodness. So often where reverse sweeps come from, right, is something gets identified in those first 2 games as, oh, it's the Hecarim pick. Remove that, and all of a sudden all of their, you know, agency in the jungle goes away. I want to start in the jungle matchup. Serendipitous that I chose Hecarim there. Josedeodo inspired. 2 guys that we've had a ton of excitement around. I would argue near the latter portions of the split, ramped up and started living up to a little bit more of the expectation that we had of them. Of course, one being the former LEC MVP, the other of which, having been in the LCS for over a year now, we've been waiting for that moment
Yes.
for Josedeodo to turn up.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting it.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've been searching for a while. The fact that Josedeodo came into the league and FlyQuest just wasn't the team we wanted them to be. And so we were promised the high mechanics, incredibly active early type of player. We're getting it now because the team is on board with it. You know, you bring in aphromoo onto the squad. toucouille's been such a damn good player for him. And so a lot of the times these scraps that have been happening for FlyQuest, he has been able to show what he has wanted to show for the LCS audience.
Yeah, I'm so happy we have this stat right here, right? The mid-jungle procs. Josedeodo's jungle proximity in general was a lot higher, and I think that is due to how much time he likes to spend in lanes, and I'm so glad that also shows how much toucouille has helped him evolve in this position, because toucouille's mid lane pressure is so excellent for Jose to be able to play around, whether he wants to counter jungler or whether he wants to gank lanes.
I think just Josedeodo as a whole tries to play the game very differently in the early game. He'll also hover around bot lane. Afro is one of the best supports about setting up ganks for his jungler, whether that be how to Thresh Lantern someone in, how to pull a wave so that's pushing into them so the gank can happen. Like, he's so good about coordinating, but that does mean that usually his junglers spend a lot of time around him. And, on the flip side, Inspired feels like EG's like, you do what you want, Inspired, and you come when you want, and you run the early game.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, Inspired has a lot in the arsenal. You can go towards bot lane, that's been performing. Mid lane has been a little awkward for them throughout the full split. They haven't been on the same page as much as they wanted to. It's all coming together now. So I think Inspired has a lot more going for him, as you can see, as he is being able to just go top lane, mid lane, bot lane. Whereas I think FlyQuest, their success hinges a lot more on their second all-pro mid laner in toucouille, who has been performing, you know, fairly consistently throughout the split. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can go up against Inspired here.
Now, y'all can correct me if you disagree, but a lot of that kind of early game agency that we talk about, and the team rather just kind of unleashing Inspired to do whatever he wants, feels like it's in large part due to, yes, his own ability, but 2, that he actually has more threats across the Rift that he can play towards and have confidence as win conditions versus the side of FlyQuest, where I feel like, in large part, you're leaving top lane to its own devices, and you're more likely going to focus around either the mid lane or, together with your mid lane, going to the bot lane on the side of FlyQuest.
Exactly. And what you just saw on your screen, I think really plays into the experience he's had. Even though he's been in competitive in the LEC for, I would say, a little short period amount of time, right? He's still in his breath, as young as he is, has a lot of, I would say, top of the line, championship type of experience, being able to get that, you know, MVP in that split with Rogue. And now he's coming to Evil Geniuses, and you're finally being able to see, yeah, he's a damn good carry jungler. Like, I know that sometimes teams are blessed with having a lot of options. Some teams can be cursed with having a lot of options when you can't really agree with where you put the resources. I think finally Evil Geniuses are on the same page of where those resources are going, and it's going to Inspired.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the one thing I wanted to point out, since I did talk about that set play that they didn't go for, Inspired had a phenomenal series in the TL game, right? Like, he was so essential to how well they did early. And I was super happy to see how well he was working with the rest of the team and how well they were working around his early game plans.
Well, we've talked about junglers. Here's where I'm going next. I'm going to the mid lane, if in part because of that duo jungle proximity that we have with the mid lane on the side of FlyQuest and toucouille being that second all-pro for us. But likewise, we've got the rookie in jojopyun, who, yes, performed quite well in his first series, but the playoff pressure continues to build now, this being an elimination game.
And one thing we haven't even mentioned is that Jojo did a lane swap in their last series, and they made the most of like how dominant his laning phase is.
I'm really excited to see the mismatch of their champions. Yes, they all play the standard boring control room allegiance, but once you step out of there, it's a lot more scaling, team fight, and enablers for the side of toucouille, where for Jojo, it's about roaming on the map, 1-3-1, individual playmaking, and I really hope they don't go for that mid lane champ pool. I would much rather see them pushed into both styles where they're playing to their strengths, more than like, oh, well, they'll take scaling.
Ignore the 4 in the middle of that graphic.
I hope they'll get deleted off their screens. You can only play the one on the left and right.
That's hilarious. And the funniest thing, too, is some of the things we've seen little snippets of is what makes these two players different. The fact that Jojo has been able to play that Lucian and then go up top lane, kind of covering the weaknesses of Evil Geniuses and how, you know, a lot of times they can't counterpick for top lane. Hey, if there's a hole in your champion pool, all right, we're human swapping. I'm going top lane. Another thing, too, is what trounced FlyQuest was jojopyun's.
That is such a great shot.
Was how jojopyun played Syndra. When he went up against toucouille, he just took Ignite. He's like, no, I'm beating you in lane. Because that's what made him different from toucouille, where toucouille will play a lot more safe in lane, at times can fail in lane, but his team fighting has been what made toucouille a strong player.
And I think that was how they won that tiebreaker match. jojopyun exposed toucouille. They sent a lot of ganks his way too, the roams from Vulcan. And that's something that people had a spotlight on him in the last week was you need to be more aware that you're gonna get more attention because people are noticing you, toucouille. You're actually good now. People are game planning. And we've seen the effect that happens like with Summit when people actively start game planning against you and sending more resources your way. So toucouille will need to step up in the series.
I mean, we had a pro to pro. I had a pro to pro with Vulcan where it was basically just him saying you're spotting the inter. All he was trying to do was catch a flash. He was trying to catch a flash, but he caught a kill on toucouille instead. So it's playoff time. You need to play a little safer, respect those timings a lot more because, as I said, the success of FlyQuest in this series heavily hinges on toucouille having a great series. You can make the case for Kumo, who has been teetering off as the split has gone on, but I would say toucouille and of course aphromoo and Josedeodo and how they set up the map is how FlyQuest will win this series.
And I am curious to see how FlyQuest adjust from their previous matches because, like Mark said, like they are targeting mid-jungle, right? Because if you destabilize toucouille, as we've talked about, he's such an important component of Josedeodo just being able to go around the map and do whatever he wants. And I am curious to see how EG decide to attack that as well because I think their mid-jungle is a lot different, right? Because they just kind of have Jojo being like, we know you're an insane laner, like you're just gonna lane and do super well, and Inspired is going to invade or whatever around that pressure. And so I'm really curious to see how the two of them match up.
You may have just noticed Vulcan getting up and out of his seat. A quick note to those of you at home, small audio hardware issue, so small delay on stage.
I thought he was rage quitting already.
Yeah, that's it. Done. Or somebody pissed him off.
The little warm-ups weren't going well. He's like, I'm out. I'm out.
I'm done. My Tom Kench isn't.
My Flash Nautilus altar.
It's not working right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, remember we did get that look in on him doing the Flash Nautilus ult stuff that one time. Okay, a couple questions I have for you all. First and foremost, who do you think is going to be the most important player to victory for the side of FlyQuest?
For the side of FlyQuest, I definitely think it's toucouille.
It's toucouille.
Yeah, for a few reasons. We've talked about how important, like, for example, Afro's leadership is, etc. But I do think mid lane stability is super important for this team. And additionally, like, not just in the early game, but he needs to be in a good position where he can come around to late game team fights, especially with the champions that he likes to play, because typically they are some more like scaling mage picks where he's contributing a lot in 5v5s.
A line on that?
aligned by it, but what do you have to say?
Oh, I was gonna say I agree, and then X Factor. Like I think the most important member on FlyQuest is Afro in a lot of ways for like all the leadership and shot calling stuff. But if they're gonna win this series, it's going to because toucouille is able to outperform JoJo over the course of the 5 games.
Got it. Also, peep those playoff blacks. Man.
Yeah,
New jerseys.
I
just want to call it out.
sick.
FlyQuest looking fresh as hell right now.
It's good.
For good versus evil, they're supposed to be the brighter colors.
That is
That's
true.
what it is.
Hey, they got the pink flowers though, and I'm a big fan of that.
Those
So good on
jerseys are
them
sick.
there. With a couple minutes to go before we dive into the game, I do want to get the predictions for the series, and I'll follow up with some other individual questions if we have the time. I am going to start here with you, Emily Raz, for like the first time ever. You've
I
escaped
never have
having
to go first.
give your prediction first.
Okay. I'm not gonna drag it out like
Massive.
Raz always does.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go
Boom.
3-1. Well, so okay, here we go. Here's how I'll drag it out. We talk about like predictions being not as a actual prediction of what's gonna happen in the match, but like as a confidence like meter kind of in the team. So I do think EG will like flub a game. But I do think based on the most recent performances of both of these teams, EG is looking a lot better. They should be well coordinated enough to attack FlyQuest where it hurts.
Honestly, brilliant Raz cosplay.
I
Say
love
you're
it.
not going to
Yeah,
go long
let's
and then
go.
go long
Let's
anyway.
go.
I'm a fan of
That's
that.
like, that is so classic.
I like
Raz.
this. The adaptation is happening
I'm
there.
glad he approves too,
Yeah,
you
you
know?
know, yeah.
Like,
So
I get that.
my point, I'm gonna make it sweet, simple. If you have dinner plans, make it quick. 3-0,
Or
I'd say
don't,
for Evil
'cause Raz
Geniuses.
might never stop talking.
So, you know, talking about each game in the series.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
I was like, am I going to sit here all night? So I got a really nice package from FlyQuest, a lot of nice merch. I wore it on the
Came in
dive.
wearing that hoodie.
I wore
Yeah.
it. I was wearing it today
wore
as
it
well.
today.
I saw Trisha outside, the CEO of FlyQuest.
Big compliments.
Yeah, it was a nice
Got her
little
perspective,
conversation. And I
nice.
said, don't watch the predictions because it's a 3-0 for EG.
Oh, no, a 3-0 as well, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who
That
you
is,
got, Dash?
I would also predict that EG is going to win this, but I would be on your page with spotting FlyQuest a win in this series. I do think they'll be able to take a win.
Good thing that FlyQuest have going for them. First pick Lee Sin is starting to become a trend here. Not only
Yeah,
we see it from
that's true.
Most of the
Closer,
first pick Ahri's
Blabber.
there over there in the
Exactly.
LCS and
There
stuff
it
like
is.
that.
Hey,
So
Caps
only
destroyed
time
him,
will
right?
tell. I'm being told that the audio issue is resolved and the players and teams are ready. So we're going to get ourselves out to that arena and get this elimination playoff match underway. Enjoy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Everybody out there, make sure you make a lot of noise. We haven't had it for a long time, so I just want to see the energy.
What I want to hear from the fans in the arena is like if I make a solo kill or something, they're chanting my name or something, I think that'll be dope.
Thank you guys for all being here. I hope this is gonna be a banger match, and I hope you will enjoy us.
Hello fans, thank you for watching League of Legends. I'm really happy to be here, and I think all I want to do is just show you guys the best League of Legends that we can ever provide you guys.
Hi fans, thanks for cheering for us for FlyQuest aside. I think we were doing like really well this weekend, and the fans are really hyping us all up, even though we are losing. I'm really excited to be on stage again and being with the fans.
Thanks for showing up to the studio and be loud for our games.
I think FlyQuest shouldn't really be in playoff. They are just fine. I think they don't really stand a chance against any top 4 team.
Here comes Danny though. Sava's taken out. Porta J's taken out. It's a triple. Oh, it's a quadra kill for Danny.
I do think like we have a lot of talented players. Everybody's really good. So I just think we gotta just pick a style and go with that.
Oh, Circle, but it's just not enough. Sponge is alive, but not for much longer. Jose finds the outplay, and that's the ace for FlyQuest.
All your work from the split, it goes to one series. It's like if you lose, you're like out till next split, and nobody wants to lose.
I don't think we've ever lost against FlyQuest this year, and going to the best of 5, I don't think that will change.
Welcome, League of Legends esports fans, to our second elimination series of the playoffs here in spring 2022. I am Captain Flowers. This is your friend and mine, Mr. Sam Kobe Hartman Kinsler. Sir, are you ready for what I am hoping is not a 3-0 today?
Yes, I am. The battle of good versus evil, FlyQuest versus evil geniuses. And let me remind you that this is a continuation of our very last game of Super Week, where we had FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses for the tiebreaker, and Evil Geniuses won that. So they are coming into this one with, I'll say, a little bit of momentum, a little bit of a head start there, having won the most recent matchup. We'll get into the pick ban immediately for this one, though, because we already have some variations here. Jungle focus, both Volibear and Lee Sin taking out 2 of the premier jungle picks.
Yup, those junglers getting targeted here a little bit. The support role as well. Nautilus and Tom Kench both off the table. LeBlanc, the first ban of the entire draft there by FlyQuest, so don't want to have to deal with that one there in mid. EG gets one more.
And if EG don't ban away the Ahri, we could be setting up for a similar champ select as we did in the last game as well in that tiebreaker, because that's what toucouille went right to, was the early pick on Ahri. And if it hadn't been for him falling victim to some of the early mid ganks from Vulcan, the support ganks, then it would have been a completely different story. So we are going to get the trade back the other way this time around. This time around, FlyQuest don't make the same mistake. They get the Zeri, and they give EG the options for picking up Ahri. Last time around, Danny with the hands on the Zeri, and he made them regret it.
Priority on the AD carry role here for FlyQuest, a pick for themselves, a deny against the geniuses. EG locking in that Ahri. Those of y'all who tuned in for the LEC finals today, we got to see some Ahri play over there. Some pretty impressive Ahri play, actually. So I'm curious to see if JoJo can keep it on the same level.
And Inspired is kind of the last member fighting for Rogue, since Rogue got 3-0'd earlier today.
He's got to carry the flag.
Rogue lost, but maybe Inspired will win. And he locks in the Xayah for his teammate there. Definitely a very prominent answer into the Zeri because of the lethality. Muramana build that we go with Xayah on has some really strong burst damage, as well as a lot of scaling options and very much anti-dive. So very mobile carries picked up for EG. Thus far, not super long range, but definitely very mobile. They both have ways to avoid Jarvan.
Yeah, well, let's see what else they want to lock in next to this. Okay, the Yuumi picked up. How are we feeling about this first half of the draft for FlyQuest?
Yuumi on Zeri Flowers. That is some peanut butter and jelly level of combinations. Definitely very scary later on into the game. The Yuumi obviously scales incredibly well, and it also enables melee carries. Maybe one of the reasons there you get the little hover over from JoJo, taunting with the Yone pick, because melee carries are very good late game options for FlyQuest to pair with that Yuumi as well. And it's going to be an early lock in here for Vulcan. I think it's incredibly important for EG to lock in these CC champions for Vulcan. These champions where Vulcan has the ability to be the initiator for the team, and grabbing either a Nautilus or a Leona. And since Nautilus is banned out, Leona is the go-to pick for him. No surprises here.
Yeah, I mean, when we think back to the series that EG had against Team Liquid last week, it was that first game with Vulcan on the Yuumi, as opposed to being on one of these Engage, one of these CC, one of these champions that can start fights off, that looked the worst for him. So I'm glad that EG is saying, you know what, you can have the cat, we don't want it, give us Leona instead. Feels much better. Viego banned out along with the Vex.
Yeah, Vex is a protection ban for the Ahri. It's one of the predominant counter picks into Ahri. LeBlanc is already banned out by FlyQuest, so that is one of the other big options that people choose into the Ahri, especially with Veigar as well being taken off the cage, and toucouille's Zoe being whittled down here. They are really putting a bit of pressure on his champ pool.
And I like the fact that they're focusing mid like this because they've already showed their own mid laner. They'd love to leave that last pick of the draft for a top lane counter pick as well. Trundle's the final ban.
And there's still a couple things you can do into the Ahri. The Syndra is a pretty good option. That's in fact what JoJo used last time around on the other end of this matchup. So toucouille could go with just the reverse rematch here, him being the one with the Syndra into JoJo's Ahri. Or you can go with attack damage, very strong lane dominant carries for mid lane, like and rush a Hex Drinker, like a Lucian or something like that.
Well, we're gonna get our jungler here for EG. It's Zhao locked in. Of course, they did us the favor of hovering both the Nidalee and the Renekton for fans because we all know how much fans enjoy seeing those two champions. And now what's FlyQuest going to pick? It's got to be a blind top laner for Kumo. Impact will have that counter pick here. So what does Kumo want to take?
They could also just pick mid and answer mid here because they know they're playing into the Ahri, but it's going to first be the Ornn picked up, and now the drum roll. What is it going to be? Syndra or Lucian?
All right.
I would say they need some AP. Probably not going to be a lane Nocturne.
I would expect not.
Definitely.
Vedius, are you out there somewhere?
So Zeri does do some magic damage, but probably going to be some more AP here.
All right, very standard stuff. Orianna. Is Orianna probably like the most standard mid laner in League of Legends? I feel like
100%. She has been most viable through the most number of patches, I feel like, for mid lane throughout the history of League of Legends.
That's what I was looking for.
Let's get into it, though. EG counter pick on top side. So many options when you get blind picked here with an Ornn. What does Impact want to try and answer with? The Gwen is in fact locked in.
Okay.
Very good versus tanks. Gets to scale up early on, gets to pick Conqueror. Very, very strong chase down on this champion. And Gwen is also pretty good into combinations that use Yuumi plus Zeri. The W is very, very effective in these scenarios and gives you the possibility of playing that front line. So they've got the Gwen Zhao front line for EG, the ultimate immunity front lines, and we'll see if this is going to be enough for EG to continue their win streak versus FlyQuest.
Or can Kumo be able to land some of those clutch Ornn horns? There's no Braum or any sort of protection there against them, so Evil Geniuses are going to have to be aware of exactly what they're team fighting around in this one. I am excited to see how it goes. I'm excited to see how top lane is focused, because whenever you have a carry like Gwen, whenever you have one of these champs that can take over the game in 1v9, I expect both junglers to have their eyes wandering up there.
Definitely agree. Super exciting matchup here. Number one of EG versus FlyQuest. Let's get into it.
So it's so much better with the fans in here, too. You get the lights, the sounds, the entire experience of Summoner's Rift in a playoff best of 5 here. Remember, we are no longer playing for an easier road to the finals. We're not playing upper brackets. This is lower bracket weekend. You either stand up here or you fall down till summer. Ain't no more second chances. Let's see how this level 1's gonna shake out here. Inspired stepping up. Not gonna place a ward down anywhere just yet. All right.
Leave everything on the Rift, Flowers. This is it. You said it. Elimination matches from here on out. Lower bracket run. Can Evil Geniuses or FlyQuest make it all the way through? FlyQuest have been biding their time since Super Week, practicing, crafting some sort of, not evil plan,
a good plan
to take down their nemesis. Exactly. A plan for good. A plan for the trees.
You sound like an Ivern skin new voiceover.
Well, the Lorax is basically the mascot of FlyQuest. So we'll see here. Impact actually getting a little deep here into enemy territory.
Oh, wait, never mind. We got Impact getting into a little bit of a scuffle with Kumo, but it's Impact who's left worse for wear after that. Down to about half HP here. Doesn't drink any of his potions. Kumo's going to go over the wall. Blue buff just gets picked up here. Impact can't do anything more to interfere with it. So, all right, everything just sort of goes away without any extra summoners or anything being blown at level 1. The big deal is just Impact losing a potion's worth of HP. It'll make those early trades at least a little bit more survivable there for Kumo, maybe be able to wear him down a little bit.
Plus, the Evil Geniuses bottom lane do pull for Inspire to get Xin for a little bit of a quicker start there. Jose got a little bit of burst damage on that blue buff, but it is going to be bottom side start here for Inspired, pathing up towards the Gwen lane on the top side. Make sure he doesn't get ganked early on.
Nicely done.
Jojo, I mean, there's a big reason why there was a magnifying glass put on the mid lane for this matchup. Last time around, the game that we mentioned from Super Week was toucouille falling victim to every gank, and thus far, he's falling victim to every charm from Jojo, who is notorious for trying to play every lane matchup as aggressively as possible. And him being the one with the Ahri, with the assassin here, finding some very strong trades through the minions as he pushes it up.
Jojo's a lot of fun to watch because of that aggro. I always like seeing guys who want to push their advantage like this, and he's going to crash that massive wave into the mid lane tier 1.
And your reward for playing that aggressively early on and trading all of your corrupting potion charges is that you get this recall, this early recall to get back where toucouille has to keep farming up the rest of the minions here, and he can walk all the way back there for Jojo, saves his teleport, gets his Doran's ring purchased, and this is why Inspired path up towards the top side to the Gwen.
Oh boy, Kumo, you might be in some trouble here, buddy. Inspired dashing in after him, flashes in, wants to get the knock up. Wind becomes lightning, and Evil Geniuses strike first.
Yeah, and Kumo becomes gold for Inspired.
Alchemy, my friend.
He has cashed in. There we go. Looks like one part of Rogue is going to get some kills early on today. Inspired going to be able to finish up with his red quadrant now as well. Honestly, this is an ideal start for this EG lineup. They got the kill on the top side for Gwen. Impact gets to go back, teleports right back out to the lane. No summoner spells now for Kumo either. And Gwen, even early on versus a tank, can be threatening because of the Conqueror, because of the chase down potential on the dash in.
And I also think just the difference between Impact and Kumo as players can't be understated here. Impact has been one of the veterans of this league for quite a while. The guy plays pretty much every type of everything, and Kumo's really yet to prove himself. So the fact that you're playing into this matchup that you're not going to ever really have an edge in, you're playing against a guy who's just world class. The job is hard for Kumo. This is a tough one, and it is a steep hill to climb, and it's going to stay that way, I expect, unless just some monstrous things happen for FlyQuest. But right now, it's Evil Geniuses, 800 gold lead here so far, winning in farm across the board, except they're in the jungle. Josedeodo is farming a little bit faster than Inspired is, but considering Inspired made that gank work up in topside, he's perfectly fine with that. EG's early game going A-OK.
Yeah, very curious, too. He is leaving his red buff up. Inspired has yet to take his first red buff, is leaving it for way later into the game. Going to super delay the pickup here because he's transitioned fully down to the bottom side for the spawn of this dragon.
Well, Inspired will be down there near that. He's got Vulcan roaming with him. Josedeodo's clearing out his Raptors. Now, he has already used his combo there with the EQ. Inspired moves in, should be able to steal away that big chicken. Yeah, and Inspired, skipping his red buff, is level 5 now to the level 4 of Josedeodo.
It's really intelligent, actually. You know, he leaves his red buff up there to go link up with Vulcan on his support roam timer. The level 3 Leona going to provide so much more on the support roams than the Yuumi here for aphromoo, and so they bully off and they steal away most of the Raptor camp there from Jose. So as you were mentioning, Inspired not only got off the first gank and got the first kill here, but he's also ahead in experience over Jose and looking for another gank.
Well, Jojo lands that point blank taunt. toucouille tries to get out, but there is no way home. Inspired is making this early game look easy.
That is an LEC MVP for you right there. Inspired is on fire this game.
Looking very, very good here. Unfortunately, both the kills did end up on the Zhao as opposed to the Ahri or the Gwen, so not ideal in that respect.
You say that, but come on, we're jumping.
All right, everybody likes to be a fed Zhao. I will give you that one, but now Josedeodo is seeing if maybe he can return the favor up here in the top side. Impact doing a good job there, immuning the first part of the damage in the combo. He gets his level 6. Impact is trying to fight back here, needs a little bit more from the needlework, but no, sir. Josedeodo gets on the board for FlyQuest.
Yeah, Impact fighting there for the level 6, clearing out some of the minions does get access to his ultimate and actually causes Jose to go for the flash to make sure they can get the kill. I think they were a little bit worried about the arrival of Xin or somebody extra here to the fight and wanted to quickly finish the kill. In the end, they get it though. So FlyQuest fighting right back here. They're still down 1,000 gold due to the early presence from Inspired, who has now hit level 6, but getting something back for themselves on that top side, and Jose now has some money too.
Jose getting some of that money, getting on the board for FlyQuest, not just allowing Evil Geniuses to have total control over this early tempo. Feels really good. Still no neutral objectives taken here in this game. No early Drakes. Rift Herald hasn't spawned yet. We're only 7 minutes in, but only 7 minutes in, that 1,000 gold lead for Evil Geniuses does feel very nice. Looking back into mid lane, Jojo has rushed Mercury Treads, wants to make sure he has the extra tenacity up against the likes of the Yuumi ulti in the team fights, up against the likes of Ornn. Plenty of magic damage all over the place here too. Zeri has some innate magic damage, so a lot of value to be derived just from the stats of that. But EG is once again on the invade game, and it's Inspired and Vulcan working together. Inspired level 7 off of another chicken steal.
See what they can do off this Vulcan roam. Looking for Jose as he goes for the zombie ward, and he might become a zombie soon.
Oh no, Jose, nice sidestep away from the charm, and now the shockwave back. Evil Geniuses goes for the play, but they do not get the kill.
Jose, fancy footwork, dodges the charm, and that means his life. If he is hit there by the charm, he is dead. Huge dodge from him, avoiding that invade, avoiding the Xin plus Leona combo there that is lying in wait. Gets out with his life and can transition up to the top side to finish off his clear.
Very nicely done, Jose. Gonna have to keep that up if you want to keep Evil Geniuses from getting further and further ahead. Inspired now looking towards the enemy red buff. Should be able to get this one without any complications, but Josedeodo will go after the Rift Herald while his red buff is being taken away. So if you can secure that one, things will be all right, but we're already seeing the on my way pings coming out from Evil Geniuses. They're aware that this is what's going on. They've got the ward there in the pixel brush. They can see exactly what Jose is up to. You can see toucouille already making the rotation over into the top part of the river just to be able to shadow Jose and help him, but they know that they cannot strong arm this objective to completion, so Jose has to give up on that one about halfway through the Herald, go back into his own jungle, farm up the Gromp. Top lane's not looking too good. Kumo's stuck underneath the turret with no help, so they know they're outmanned and outgunned if it turns into a full-on.
And again, we got to keep highlighting this because it's so critical. These Vulcan roams. Vulcan had roamed up towards that Rift Herald to ensure that they could do it. He is now on his way back to bottom lane to make sure that Danny doesn't get dove, but these differences here between Leona, between Yuumi, are a lot in the early game here, where the Leona gets a priority, can go for these offensive roams, looking to create these plays, does reward them with an early Rift Herald, now back in lane here versus Johnsun and aphromoo, who, to be fair, the Yuumi side does scale extremely well, and is allowing the Zeri a very nice CS lead, but they're getting targeted with yet another roam.
One of the things that I am concerned a little bit for FlyQuest here as well, you mentioned during the draft when we saw Xayah locked in, hey, this champion is great against dive. There's not really a ton of range outside of the Ornn ultimate on the side of FlyQuest. Everybody has to play into that range of Xayah. You're going to walk near feathers. You're going to walk close to blade collars. And if Danny's able to pop off in the way that we've seen him pop off before, this could be a very dangerous Xayah come 3 items.
Yeah, definitely could be. Especially dangerous, though, when you're facing a Yuumi on top of the Zeri with so much mobility. So we shall see if FlyQuest can get to their scaling breakpoints. You know, they have the Yuumi, they also have the Ornn, who will be able to hand out upgraded items, of course, post level 13 there from Kumo.
Well, and Impact lets him.
Yeah, they want to be able to build around those team fights, but it is a difficult road ahead of them because Evil Geniuses with the early lead, definitely positioned to push that lead. Inspired still with Rift Herald in hand. This is going to go a long way, knocking down some plates and getting some of that tower damage they need to start opening up some extra space to work with.
And just because we haven't mentioned it yet, I am just going to go ahead and bring up the fact that Danny is playing Lethal Tempo. He is playing Noon Quiver as his mythic component item. So this is not going to be your Eclipse, Muramana, poke style of Xayah with the tier and everything like that. Looks like we'll get more of a traditional DPS crit-based build. And Inspired will be able to pick up this first Drake here for Evil Geniuses. 11 minutes in, not exceptionally quick, but it gets Evil Geniuses 2 out of 2 neutral objectives thus far. Honestly, the whole early game feels great for them. What is the plan for FlyQuest? I feel like we're not seeing a plan.
Yeah, I mean, their plan is scaling. As we've went over, in all 3 of their lanes, they do have a strong team fight that they can rely on later. Bottom side, pretty good farm so far for Johnsun, and as long as they do not fall victim to these Ahri roams from mid lane, then they should be able to keep it up and be on a pretty smooth pace here.
So allow me to ask this then. This is the way I think I should have phrased my last question. How much are you willing to give Evil Geniuses in this early game as FlyQuest before you say, okay, our scaling's actually in a little bit of trouble now?
Yeah, not a lot, because EG don't have problems scaling over there either. I don't think that's going to be the big issue. It's going to be around fighting and around stacking up the rest of these neutral objectives here. EG already with the first dragon and has Rift Herald in hand, so FlyQuest are going to have to retake some territory here at some point, bring the Ornn down, because they are going to scale Gwen into a monster as well. Will become a split push menace, and FlyQuest may struggle to put together their 5-on-5 later on in the game. EG have a lot of pick potential because they've got Leona roaming around, and on top of the Ahri, who's looking for so much mobility from the mid lane. Jojo constantly pushed up, and if you can take that mid turret with the Rift Herald, this is where it starts to get very dangerous. They've constantly had wards throughout the red quadrant of FlyQuest jungle. Here, here, here. There's always been Leona and Xin through this bottom jungle. And if you take that mid turret, then guess what? Ahri also gets to threaten that bottom lane, gets to threaten that Yuumi combination.
Well, the Rift Herald was not able to secure the entirety of the turret, but importantly, Inspired did get that one dropped down mid lane, grab the plate money while it was still available. Only 45 seconds left on turret plates. Evil Genius is bringing Vulcan back down into the bottom lane. Danny's going to keep on picking up a little bit more plate money as well. And when I'm looking back at the numbers on the mini-map, never mind, there's no time for numbers on the mini-map. Because we got charms, and the charms hit their marks. Inspired is on a killing spree for the Geniuses.
Got him! toucouille with the flash, but Jojo already charm in the air. Gets him with it after the flash. That is brutal for toucouille. Oh my goodness. The last matchup versus EG, he gets brutalized by Vulcan with the roaming supports from ganks from support. This time around, it has been him in combination with Inspired going for all these ganks, but this one was well set up by Jojo, and they see him on the wards as well. So they've got full vision. They just cleared these wards, and toucouille goes back the dangerous route, flashes there. Right through this corridor, there's not a lot of area to dodge. No. So Jojo with a pretty well aimed and calculated charm there. Very, very quickly picking up that kill. It's a little bit, this one probably should have gone over to Jojo, I feel like, for the rewards, but Inspired yoinks that one as well. 3-0, all the kills on EG, all on Inspired, and almost a 3K gold lead here.
Well, but are we done yet? toucouille's still trying to get away. Jojo has flash, but he doesn't have his ulti. toucouille's gonna walk away from that one. But I'm loving the focus on the FlyQuest mid laner from Evil Geniuses, because back to even what the desk was saying is, hey, what's the win condition? Who is most paramount to a FlyQuest victory? Right there in mid lane, shut him down. Keep him out of the game. 0-2 and 0 Orianna is not an ideal game state for Orianna.
Yeah.
This is what Evil Geniuses have figured out is the secret to success, and it's working.
Well, it's very difficult to pick when you have 3 lanes like this that don't have a lot of playmaking for them in the early game, and then Jarvan's got nowhere really to go for a lot of setup. And so FlyQuest have kind of been bleeding resources here through the early game. They're kind of hoping they can get to this point where they can really get one of these structured fights where Jarvan plus Orianna combo, shockwave delivery on top of an Ornn ultimate from Kumo. They're hoping that they can try and get some territory back, because EG, they run Summoner's Rift right now, Flowers. So they're going to take every neutral objective on the map. There's no mid tower for FlyQuest to even start their plays from, to have some defense from. So Rift Herald number 2 will be picked up in advance of the next dragon, and it can be a rotation from Evil Geniuses down towards that dragon with plenty of time to go. FlyQuest, though, they overload bottom side with Zeri, Yuumi, and Ornn, so it might just be split map. Maybe they trade.
Well, Josedeodo will jump in and steal away the enemy Gromp. He'll look towards that enemy blue as well. FlyQuest sieging up on this tier 1 turret that has no plates. They will get that one for sure. Second Rift Herald of the game is summoned up here. Top side, are they even going to get the charge? Yes, okay, so the charge ends up killing off the last 5% of the turret's HP. FlyQuest still have players in the bottom side there, just Johnsun, but now he's going to make the recall, and FlyQuest get back to base to defend the tier 2, which is still going to take the charge damage here from the Herald. No, it's not. Nicely done. Kumo made me a liar, and I'm happy.
The Ornn assassin flowers.
I was not expecting assassin Ornn to just show up with the shank and stab Shelly.
Just bonk Shelly on the knee with the hammer there. Takes out her kneecaps and can't charge. Honestly, it's a pretty interesting choice from FlyQuest though, because we were thinking, oh, maybe they'll trade sides. And they will give up the 2-tower push to the Rift Herald in exchange for Dragon to stop the Dragon stacking. But they actually did not do that. They made the call that they don't have the extra power to be able to give up any more gold in the form of a second tower. And they're just like, you know what? We actually are going to have to give up this Dragon. It's just Dragon number 2, and in favor of denying the gold of secondary tower there. So they recalled and reset in order to defend it. It's a calculated choice here to not give up even more gold to the side of EG. We'll see if it pays off, because it does put more pressure on the next dragons that do spawn. toucouille.
Oh boy, toucouille just gets hit with the Everfrost, follow it up with the charm, follow it up with the damage, follow it up with the first kill on somebody not named Inspired for Evil Geniuses. JoJo's in there.
Oh boy, toucouille is at it again. No flash on the Orianna, no mid lane for FlyQuest Flowers. There's no safety at all here. And this game 1 is, I'll just say it right now, a complete flop for FlyQuest. Let's see if they can mount their dream team fight though. Honestly, they just keep on bleeding more and more resources over to EG. And EG are not going to slow down. Remember, as much as FlyQuest have drafted for some strong 5-on-5 and some strong scaling for later with the Yuumi, with the Ornn possibilities here, and if Orianna can combo Shockwave with Jarvan, it's EG already have a lot of answers. And with all the towers down, it allows them to have Gwen start to split push. Impact's got Unleashed Teleport ready, has Ghost ready, Riftmaker's already done for him as well, and the rest of the team is going to be able to threaten the 4-1 quite substantially here. Even JoJo can go lurking around, and you can get these scenarios where it's the trailing split push, you know, one of them showing on the minion wave, the other one hovering behind, and really taking advantage. So see what FlyQuest can do to try and get some wards out on the map, and get in position of the objective beforehand, before it spawns, to try and set up their battle lines. Next dragon will be Soul Point, so it's not the most critical. You don't have to fight on it, but it does mean that's the last one before Soul. And here's the teleport.
Oh.
This Ornn is gonna get out!
He's going home. That's the thing with Gwen. She's got no CC. She can't stop it, but Impact will be able to follow Kumo to the ends of the earth. He'll chase him back up into the top side. Now, Kobe, I want to ask you something here.
Top lane tag. They're gonna chase each other all over.
So I'm curious your thoughts here at the inventory of Josedeodo, because he's going for a full Zhonya's Hourglass second after the Chem tank. And while this active is powerful, I personally believe Stasis is far and away the single strongest active in League of Legends that is not close. Is that worth having what is essentially not good stats for your champion when you're only on 2 items?
It's the Malrong strategy, the Chem tank and the Hourglass combination. I think it's pretty cool. Now, it does...
in this game state, when you're down 4,000.
Honestly, like you're saying, the Zhonya's, the immunity is the best way that you can be tanky. Actually soaking damage in this scenario, because your opponents are so far ahead, you're not going to be able to out-soak damage there. The Ornn is going to be the one on the front line, you know, trying to actually soak, so... I kind of like it. It also does mean your flag hits a bit harder.
Yes.
The AP ratio there too. So
Super flag.
It does necessitate some accuracy with your combination, but we'll see if it actually plays out here for Jose. You do sacrifice regular tank stats, you know, like health and normal resistances that you would be getting from building
a little bit armor.
Regular tanks. So we shall see.
All right. I just always like to get people's opinions on something like that when it's not super common. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I have been loving some of the plays that we've been seeing made with it in the EU LCS. It has also had flops over there as well. So depends on the play. Stopwatch is such a you know, instance dependent item. It's not about It's not about the stats on the item, obviously. It's about how you use it.
Right. If you fat finger the thing in lane and you get no value out of it, all of a sudden it is worth literally 0. Perfect execution of it in the middle of a team fight can change the entire flow of a game. So we'll keep our eyes on Jose, keep our eyes on his stopwatch and subsequent hourglass, but we've got about 45 seconds until the 3rd Drake of the game spawns. Evil Geniuses still sit on the cusp of almost a 5,000 gold lead. They've got both the Heralds so far. They've got both the Drakes so far. Things are looking dire for FlyQuest. They're looking to make a move on Impact, who has no summoner spells, but he can just skip back over the wall. He'll make his way out and makes that entire FlyQuest play not work, or does it?
Who's getting
Jojo having to get away now. Johnsun coming in, providing a little bit of damage. There comes your Ornn horn. Kumo's ready to slam him on back. Inspired gets caught out, but he flashes away. Jose's ready to follow. Shut down over to Kumo. Evil Genius is on the run, but Kumo's going to be killed now. Impact rampaging through, looking for toucouille, trying to chase him down a little bit more, but now he's got to be careful. Johnsun finds a bit more damage on the back end, but no more left to be found. 1-for-1 trade, but the jungler on Evil Geniuses is dead, which means objective power is not there.
And FlyQuest come alive. We start to see a little bit of what is possible and what we're alluding to with the late game Ornn and Yuumi combinations. Kumo there with the long chase. He had actually started recalling up in the brush, and EG lost track of him up there, so he was in a flank position. Still only turns into a 1v1 though, or 1-4-1, and here is that Dragon Soul point.
Okay, Jose gets out of the pit, back over the wall. Evil Geniuses, they're gonna start this one up. They know that Inspired is on the way, so they can do this slowly. They're still standing on top of the Scuttle Crab vision of FlyQuest, so Fly knows what's going on. Josedeodo wants to try to go for the smite still here with the blast cone over the wall, then take his own EQ combo back to safety, or does he? Already throws the flag in the pit, decides, okay, Inspired's there, we're not doing this anymore. Just wanted to be ready in case the jungler wasn't there for some reason, but it doesn't work out that way, and now one more is sold for EG.
I've got good news for FlyQuest. The Ornn now is level 13, so next level gets to start handing out the upgrades, blinging everybody else out. Here's another look at that replay and the very beginning of it, and how long they had vision of Impact and the chase that Kumo went on to end up behind the rest of the team. So you'll remember this is a very long chase, and Kumo had flashed for Impact there, and then EG kind of lose track of them as they all circle in here thinking they're going to get the pick on the blue buff, but it is the Cataclysm start there from Jose, and you know the Ornn is behind him, but Vulcan is now under attack.
Vulcan at half HP. Josedeodo keeps up the chase, but he ends up losing a good chunk of his own health as well. Flash coming out from Vulcan. Counterattacks with his own Solar Flare. Johnson's now under pressure as Josedeodo and toucouille are both at half HP. Impact soaking here on the front. Evil Geniuses have disengaged. They tried to get something back, but neither side has the firepower.
Late game Yuumi, baby. The Yuumi heals come through. Last time I looked, the only one with grievous wounds was Impact with the orb. Looks like they have yet to pick up another source of it as well. So if Impact is not diving the target with the Yuumi, then they are going to heal a lot, and FlyQuest will be able to take down.
Oh, Kumo having to get away from that one. Evil Genius is some good CC underneath the turret. Gonna keep that tier 1 alive. Impact approaches from the right, looking for Johnsun. Johnsun should just be able to jump away there with the help of the Yuumi, skip over the wall, no problem. Josedeodo has his own gap closer to get out, but now Kumo has no flash, no teleport, no ulti. Inspired's gonna keep moving towards him here. Wind becomes lightning over the wall, maybe. Nope, Kumo should be able to get out of that one. Vulcan's gonna continue looking, seeing if there's an angle to cut anyone off here. Has Jojo and Impact right next to him. They will force a flash out of the FlyQuest jungler.
The long chase here. This blue quadrant of the jungle. Jose does get the last laugh. Flag gives vision, able to smite away the Gromp. Now they know that he just used one of his smite charges. Maybe there was a threat there towards the Baron. That's why we saw that blue trinket go down. So Scryers used by FlyQuest to make sure it wasn't a quick transition over to Baron. And again, they continue to scale on up here. Ornn will be able to hand out the next upgrade pretty shortly here. 2 item power spike on Zeri acquired for Johnsun with the Titanic as well. And the Yuumi healing will continue. Darksteel was picked up as well for aphromoo, so if FlyQuest win one of these team fights, they're actually able to use some of this frontline and hard engage that they do have to create some space for the Zeri, then they will definitely be able to stack this up as long as they can keep toucouille safe. That flash down on toucouille has been a death sentence this entire game, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's tough stuff when you're on a champion like Orianna that does not have that inbuilt mobility. Now, is worth pointing out that we also have our second Ornn upgrade here on Johnsun with that Trinity Force. That one's been buffed up by Kumo, who's done a good job not falling too far behind Impact. Yes, he's 30 CS down, but as the matchup of Gwen versus tank goes further and further into the game, you expect Gwen to have more and more control. Josedeodo gonna get slowed down there by the Zhao W. Now walks forward just to have that threat to be able to keep the tier 2 turret alive for the side of FlyQuest. FlyQuest still have only taken one single turret this game, the bottom lane tier 1 turret. Everything else still standing and still standing pretty strong. Impact keeps applying pressure into that bottom lane as Jojo and Danny have moved back into more of a neutral position around mid. Jojo clearing out some of these wards in the topside river that FlyQuest has placed down. But for FlyQuest, eyes are on Josedeodo right now. He's the one with aphromoo attached to him. He's the one making the engages, making the plays. And he's the one who will be leading the charge when FlyQuest try to make their move. Danny gets jumped on, goes up into the ulti, keeps himself safe, and now the re-engage is coming out, but Vulcan has bit off more than he can chew, and toucouille is on the board.
The FlyQuest juggernaut continues. Flower, that scaling was lying in wait. They flopped in the early game, but they're right back on their feet. And here comes the flank from Kumo. Ornn is on the way, has ultimate available.
Here it comes. Remember, there is no defensive ultimate available for Danny. His positioning must be very, very safe here. Evil Genius is going to fall back, but FlyQuest still have control over Summoner's Rift for now. Vulcan's still dead for another 7 seconds. The Soul is spawning in 20. We got ourselves a game here, buddy.
It's definitely time here for EG to be able to get back for the spawn of it. I wonder if they rush into it. Vulcan's right back up, and they're heading actually back out towards Baron right now. They might be looking to trade it. The pings go down. They're heading towards Baron, thinking they can possibly give it up for a rush on the Baron. Can they give up this Soul? It looks like FlyQuest should be able to transition over in time, though.
Yep, FlyQuest will make their way over here. Evil Geniuses are starting it up. Vulcan is going to find that control ward there so he can clear that one out of the way. Now, what's it gonna be? FlyQuest, you gotta go in there. You gotta stop this. Baron down to 3,000 HP. Josedeodo, he's ready to go in for the smite steal, ready for the coin flip, the 50-50. Johnson's gonna be pressured now here at the very start. Gwen is immune, but Impact is still staying alive. Josedeodo getting himself back out. Johnson's gonna be taken low. Johnson's taken down. jojopyun with a solo, looking for it on a toucouille, but toucouille will triumph. 1v1.
Oh, and now it's EG with the reset here. They've got the extra person advantage. The bottom lane killed off from FlyQuest. They barely had enough damage to finish them. Inspired going back in. Did the deed. Now there's no Yuumi to heal up FlyQuest, and it's all on Jose to try and get that steal.
It was very important for toucouille to win that 1v1. That's the only way FlyQuest got a chance to fight back here. They are still in a 3v4. They're still dealing with EG, who have this advantage in terms of men, in terms of health, but now they've already decided to go in. It's Kumo. He's after Danny, who still has his ultimate, but he wasn't able to use it in time. Shut down over to Josedeodo, and FlyQuest have stopped the Baron. What else will they be able to find, if anything at all? Inspired and Impact standing and fighting and taking down the enemy top laner. Jose re-engages for a nice 3-man shockwave, but the follow-up is non-existent. Impact standing and fighting a little bit longer. The needlework won't do it. toucouille goes on a killing spree, and Josedeodo goes in for Inspired. He finds the escape through the audacious charge over the wall, and Jojo is back out onto the map. FlyQuest now have control over the topside river, and FlyQuest are now the ones who finally get to breathe in the face of the EG Baron.
I, for one, am ready for Baron round number 5 already. Let's get right back to the party here. FlyQuest, they get the revival from aphromoo. Yuumi gets out there, heals him right back up, and they stop EG from attempting the Baron again. Down to 3k health a second time. Let's take a look in our Rocket Flip the Switch replay at the beginning. This one was where the second initiations, Impact teleports out. They're trying to keep Josedeodo away from the Baron, but then Impact went over towards the Krugs, thinking that Jose went that way, and Jose had looped back around towards the rest of them at Baron, and they just assassinate Danny. Ornn right in. Jose follows it up, and FlyQuest are able to kill off the AD carry, so EG kind of falling apart with the plan at that point. But then the fully stacked Conqueror there on Gwen, they melt through the tank. Toucoulle's got the shockwave to buy time for on your minimap. You see aphromoo about to arrive. They know they've got the Yuumi on the way to continue the chase and pick up the extra kills here for FlyQuest.
And then Inspired barely manages to find that escape there onto the Krug. And with jojopyun back out onto the map, that meant that FlyQuest couldn't go back for the Baron themselves. But we were dancing around Baron so long that we're now down to below 2 minutes before the Drake spawns again, which will create another one of these cross-map states where EG has the threat of soul at any Drake that they're able to claim, so the pressure will be on FlyQuest. But it's FlyQuest now going for the Baron themselves. Evil Geniuses, they know what's going on. The Scryer's Trinket in the pit's gonna show them, but it gets immediately removed. Control Ward over the wall sees Baron at about half HP. Inspired poking there where the wind becomes lightning. Jojo looking for an angle to come in and try to stop these guys. Impact also on the flank. EG, they gotta fight this right if they wanna have a chance. There goes your Ornn ulti, but it only finds Vulcan. That is not the ideal target. FlyQuest trying to get away now, but toucouille is already dead. Kumo's gonna be taken low. Inspired is tanking up everybody, and he's doing it for a damn long time. FlyQuest have collapsed under the might of Evil Geniuses. Kumo's gonna waste a little bit more time, but here comes the snip snip. EG just got 4 for nothing.
FlyQuest get too full of themselves, Flowers. They can't afford to group up inside the Baron pit and let EG get their flanks off. EG thrive on the flanks, and FlyQuest needed to fight the front to back. Honestly, they just got swarmed there. Toucouille gets assassinated, and EG are gonna push right through.
It was a nice fight back in the mid game from FlyQuest, but when the Ornn ulti only hits Leona, hell no, that ain't gonna work. Evil Geniuses, they'll take that big win, they'll march it straight to the Nexus, and they'll take game 1.
Fun little roller coaster we go on for game number 1 here, Flowers.
Got a couple loop-de-loops in the middle.
I'm glad that
I'm glad
you got to see what the Yuumi Ornn scaling is capable of in some of these later team fights. But rushing into that Baron, allowing EG to circle from all sides.
Like sharks.
Like sharks. Looking for the win, and then instantly, nice push from EG afterwards. They punish them at the Baron start, clean up all the kills, and finish off this game, running straight to the Nexus. If you remember back to the beginning of this game, though, big props to Inspired for the early ganks, the early start to this match, as well as Jojo for playing his mid lane extremely aggressive. You know, they went for the early Ahri pick here. That's what they traded for the Zeri. And Jojo, true to form, always trying to punish and play up very early on in the game, getting those summoner spells out of toucouille, and then having Inspired come and multiple people come through for ganks. Nicely punished.
They're going to have to get some Secret Service agents for President toucouille because he is just getting focused a lot in these matches versus Evil Geniuses. They seem to have this idea and have this plan that as long as they can keep him shut down, they're going to find the win. It worked for them in game number 1. They brought it all together, and we're going to break down all that back and forth action at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much, Captain Flowers. They got it done in the end, EG did, but it got scary for a moment, considering how well the game started in favor of our red-sided team. Let's take a look at the draft, though, to kick things off, figure out what each of these teams came into came into the series, rather, when it came to strategy. In particular, I want to take a look at FlyQuest, because this is the team that we hadn't had any data on in the postseason just yet.
Looks like they're going all scaling, baby.
Yeah.
That's the strategy, 5v5 team fights. We've seen some people trying that in this playoffs. There's been teams that have gone back to more stable team comps. And I think for a game 1 draft, I can see what they're thinking here. Like, let's see if EG has enough early game that we need to change our playstyle, because otherwise we'll just go late in team fight.
Yeah, we've seen EG go early game in drafts previously, and also, honestly, FlyQuest have won a lot from their late game scaling and 5v5 team fighting. So I'm not surprised to see them go in this direction.
Yeah, my biggest concern a lot of the times when you have Yuumi drafts is I feel like you need to have a stable or even mid jungle. Otherwise, the strategy is just going to be, okay, we have a winning mid jungle. We'll just, every time we have push, we'll threaten bot lane. We don't need to dive. We'll just push them off the wave. We'll force them to use TP. It's just a losing position in the team with the better scaling. In this case, yes, FlyQuest are just praying for a mistake, which they inevitably got.
They got some mistakes.
They inevitably got that.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just start taking a look at highlights? Because we're going to get to some of those mistakes that seem to elongate the game and breathe some life into the FlyQuest side of things. Because for a large majority of this game, it was EG with agency being ignited by Inspired in the jungle.
Yeah, and it won't show it in these clips, but it was like a pretty significant early game advantage, about 4K. Inspired and Jojo were just running rampant in the matchup, specifically Jojo. Jojo was just catching him with every charm. It was tough to watch. But as the game went on, it got a lot better for FlyQuest.
It got sloppy, I guess is what you'd say.
Yeah.
EG should have been controlling the pace of the game. They got into some standoffs around neutral objectives, and that's where FlyQuest comp can shine in these front-to-back team fights. It still was never like back fully in their favor, but there was a period of time where I thought, okay, after this, it seems mostly like FlyQuest has stabilized. They have the better late game team fight, team comp. Like maybe they can find their way back in the game from here.
Yeah, especially for some of these team fight setups here, especially where like, you know, EG, I was talking about how good their Baron take was, and they mess it up. This should have been FlyQuest's fight. And then that
Target
happened.
selection. Target
Kill
selection.
the Leona!
You have 5 targets in front of you, and the one you choose to Ornn is the Leona.
It's unlucky.
It was not the right call.
And while you're rushing down this Leona, you're leaving your flank exposed to jojopyun, who then solos out toucouille. And so instead of having a straight front-to-back team fight, you have allowed yourself to get flanked around by forcing yourself into the objective. They didn't need to play it that way.
When you're in a really tough position like that, you don't want to just splurge all of your resources, all of your ults onto one target. A lot of the times, pushing the person who's coming out of flank, in this case, the impact, would probably be the best way, forcing them off your flank, having them marked out. Because at the end of the day, you're the one with Yuumi heals, better scaling, better front to back. You don't want to just like go on a Hail Mary. So that was a tough call. But at the end of the day, they weren't the ones in control of that game. It was evil geniuses.
Right, that was still a comeback scenario, but you did feel like we were on the precipice of a FlyQuest victory if, for example, that fight goes their way. That felt like it was the turning point. Unfortunately for them, missed execution. Oh, I need a little bit of that done right now. What the heck?
Where's the EG
Is
stat?
that? Yeah, somebody after this segment's over. Ooh,
no.
Raz.
Yeah.
Raz, you little side. You certified? Okay. Either way,
I got your
geniuses.
back.
Oh,
Okay, I got
I'm all
you.
about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's not into it. I'm into it.
He tried that earlier off camera.
We talk about that. We talk about that agency that EG had in the early game. It all started in the jungle. Inspired and Josedeodo.
What was that?
I'm awake now, Raz. Inspired Josedeodo was the matchup that we put the biggest spotlight on coming into the day, and Inspired, particularly in the early portions of the game, Emily, got a lot done.
Let's talk about his jungle pathing, right? Because everyone loves jungle pathing.
I love jungle pathing.
Or it's just me, but whatever. So this is gonna speed through. Inspired's clear. He gets the leash here. One thing they pointed out in cast is he actually ends up skipping his own red. And so when we talk about junglers being efficient or what efficiency means for a jungler, a lot of it is just time. What are you spending time on? They get the kill immediately up here. Now watch, he does Krugs, and then this is gonna be his first back after this. He immediately goes and, here, I'm gonna pause here just because I wanna point out that bot lane backed, and this is gonna be really important because Vulcan is back on his roam, and a lot of the plays they're gonna set up are going to be Inspired coming around to Vulcan, right? So he instead invades, takes Jose's birds, does his own birds, and then loops back around for this kill mid, and then finally does his own red. So I thought it was really fun. I love when junglers do like some creative pathing. You can disagree with it if you want, but I think he very efficiently used his time to get his team ahead.
I think the important thing is even if it's not standard clear, it's never like he has nothing to do and he's just hovering in a bush. The reset to catch the next spawn of his Gromp and to keep his farm going. Yes, you're gonna let the red buff get a little under leveled when you finally pick it up, but because he was always getting something else done, whether it be vision control or ganks, it never felt bad, I think. And that's what makes Inspired so good is even when he's doing these non-standard plays, he doesn't actually end up falling behind.
Something that Emily has also pointed out, but is just a consistent trend with him, Inspired, is those birds, man.
Yeah,
Emily,
he loves them.
Exactly. The fact that he will always time the enemy birds.
Yeah, so, okay, so I always call
and he'll come and get
Burbs.
I will say, yeah, it's my fault. I always call them birds in my
Yeah.
jungle pathing, like spreadsheets,
fine.
so that's my fault.
At
They
least
are
you don't call
raptors.
them wraiths still. Those of us who are around for a very long
yeah.
time.
Do you remember
it took a
Papa
while
Wraith?
to get rid of
I
those
still
kinds
call
of things.
Gromp white as well.
Exactly, right?
Oh
yeah.
my
God.
Lord. Okay. Yeah, efficiency, though, is absolutely the key word when it comes to jungling, just as a role, and it's great to see Inspired live up to that word in this game number 1. Moving on to game number 2, though, FlyQuest with side selection is going to stay on the blue side. And Mark, I think this is interesting because all throughout the postseason, we have seen definite favoritism from different teams for different sides of the map.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, we talk about salty runbacks and stuff. This is one of those games where I'm looking at that draft from FlyQuest.
Okay with it?
I liked their draft. toucouille, who we shined a spotlight on in the pregame, got abused in lane and then did not play the team fights, I think, particularly well on one of his signature champions in Orianna. And like, this is one of those times where like, you just need to step up. Like that, we can get you a better matchup if you want something slightly different. But like the overall game plan of let's go a little bit late, but let's just stabilize early game, that is tough. If they want to get a little bit more bridge champions in there, fine. But I think the overall game plan looked okay to me.
Exactly. And I would say the bridge champ that I would look forward to is probably like a Leona, a Thresh, something there for Afro to get plays started and to be able to protect mid a little bit more. I think the scaling options were there already existed. And when you add the Yuumi, there's going to be more, you know, quote unquote volatility about like, okay, so they have mid hunkered down, now they're gonna kill us bot lane. Want to stop that from happening.
We're talking about the possibility of a salty run back. I'm going to throw this question at you, Emily. If you're on the side of EG and you see that coming to fruition, do you allow it? Are you okay with that? Or do you think there's something that they can subvert, you know, on the side of FlyQuest?
If I'm EG, I'm looking at my own mid-game mistakes because they could have, I feel like they could have snowballed their own advantages harder and not gotten so caught up in bad positions at neutral objectives. So I'm probably fine. And I also think EG are fine with red side, too.
Oh, very happy, clearly, with that. They had side selection coming into this matchup. They chose the red side to start, so they'll be happy on that one. Heading to game 2 in just a moment, but during the 2022 Spring Split, use your MasterCard to make a purchase from the in-store client, or in-client store, rather, and save your card on file to be entered for a chance to win a trip to a League of Legends event, or a set of 9 Player of the Week statues and a MasterCard prepaid card. Entry period, though, is from March 26th to April 23rd, so make sure you get those in before that date hits. We'll see if FlyQuest can find their footing and answer back in game 2 right after this.
This is lower bracket weekend. You either stand up here or you fall down till summer. Ain't no more second chances. Never mind, there's no time for numbers on the mini-map. Because we got charms and the charms hit their marks. FlyQuest trying to get away now, but toucouille is already dead. Kumo's gonna be taken low. Inspired is tanking up everybody, and he's doing it for a damn long time. FlyQuest have collapsed under the might of evil geniuses. Kumo's gonna waste a little bit more time, but here comes the snip. EG just got 4 for nothing.
They give us love. They give us joy. They give us lessons in sharing. So give them some love back. And what says love better than something you can chew on? Use your MasterCard to make secure purchases from anywhere. So your gift will end up in the right hands or mouth. Because being there for each other is priceless.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great. The subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Oh, no! That was not even fair.
What if respawning was refreshing? Here's to the round between rounds.
This game is rigged. This game is out to get me.
This is a league built on speed and precision, where everything needs to perform at a pro level, especially your hardware.
They blocked the road. They want to complete the final piece of the puzzle. They don't have enough damage for it, but who cares? It's all a formality, baby. The winner of LCS Lock-In.
Even if you're hard stuck plat, like me, forever. Roccat, the official mouse and keyboard of the LCS.